Boys, today is October 4th, 2019, and we are approaching week 5 of the NFL season. Football season is in full swing, and so is fantasy season. Welcome to the Primetime Fantasy Podcast. My name is Garrett. I'm here with Nick, per usual. First, we're going to get into Melvin Gordon, just talk about his situation a little bit now that he's returned to the facility. And we're just going to go straight into the games, game-by-game predictions, just as we have been doing. We apologize for no podcast last week, but, things got a little dicey. Nick had his birthday. Nick's a grown man now. How old are you turning, Nick?
23.
23. Grown man age. Do you drink a lot?
I don't drink at all, Garrett.
You don't drink at all? Hey, I don't know. I was just curious. Let's get into the Melvin Gordon situation. Now we know he's returned back to the team. He had limited snaps against the Dolphins, right?
He didn't even play against the Dolphins. He was suited up, but it was for precautionary because of Justin Jackson was not able to play. So They just rode Austin Eckler, but he was dressed just in case of emergency.
I hear
you. For me, I like Melvin Gordon. Obviously, if you drafted him in probably the third round is where you drafted him, you're happy that he's returning. I think he's an RB1 like he was last year. I think the Chargers are going to use him because they don't see him as part of their long-term plan, so they can ride him. I'm down on Austin Eckler, but I'm not cutting bait with him. I think he's a great handcuff and he can be a flex play. Last year, even when Melvin Gordon was tearing it up, Austin Eckler in PPR was still a factor catching the ball in the backfield. So I would say Melvin Gordon is an RB1. And Austin Eckler is a flex option now, not an RB1 anymore.
I would agree. I think Eckler, he's still a great talent, and I think the Chargers organization is going to realize that. Melvin Gordon, you're not gonna not play him either. So I think it's going to be more of a hot hand situation. I think Melvin Gordon's more talented, so I think he's just going to end up getting more of the carries and more of the workload. And more touchdowns, more yards, all of that week by week. And depending on the matchup, I would agree that you can start Austin Eckler as a flex option every single week.
Yeah, great handcuff if Melvin Gordon gets hurt again. He's not hurt, but he's a great handcuff. And I am definitely, if you own Melvin Gordon now, you're happy that he's back.
All right. Getting into the week by week matchups. Last week we did not have a podcast, but we still had some picks. So for the season, Nick is 16-15, just above 500, and I am 20-11. So,
how's your fantasy team doing in our league? What's your record in that?
I'm 2-2. He's bringing us up.
And after starting off 0-1, as usual, I'm back on top at 3-1. So,
I like how he says as usual. All right. We'll see about that. We don't play until mid-season. I looked up. We don't play until late in the year, so
a
lot of time to trash talk between the two of us.
Game prediction. Let's do the Thursday night game.
Yeah.
We both already came up with our prediction, so on Thursday night I am taking the Rams at the Seahawks.
I'm also taking the Rams. A lot of these Thursday night games, you'll see, I'm always just trying to take the more talented team. There's not a whole lot of time to game plan, so you're just really riding on who's the more talented.
I don't see the Rams blowing out Seattle because
neither do I.
They look bad against Tampa Bay. Their defense was just torn apart. But I think, they're great. They got a great coaching staff there. Their defense is better than advertised. They got embarrassed at home to a Tampa Bay team that everyone kind of wasn't really sold on. So I think they come back and they right the ship and they get a win at Seattle. And what's good here is the Rams' offense is at least looking good. The running game hasn't looked great, but Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, and Brandon Cooks all look like legitimate fantasy options. And, I think the Rams are in a good spot here to get a win, especially a rivalry game. And I think they pull it out in Seattle.
Yeah, I was trying to trade for Robert Woods before this past week, and then he went off against the Buccaneers.
Yeah, I think he had 13 catches for 168. So
yeah,
he definitely. A lot of people are concerned with him because of Cooper Kupp looks like the best receiver there, and Brandon Cooks is still Brandon Cooks. But Robert Woods showed why he was drafted where he's drafted. 13 catches is it just shows the value that Robert Woods has. Let's get into the first game on Sunday, the Jets at the Eagles. Garrett, what are your thoughts on the Jets fantasy players here?
I think eventually Le'Veon Bell is going to come into his own. I don't think this is the week for it. I think the Eagles have a good rushing defense. Their passing defense is the worst in the league, so I think the Jets are going to be prone to passing the ball more. So I think I don't know. Crowder might be their best receiver.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Him and Anderson.
So
and
they
Robbie
might
Anderson.
So they might be streamer flex options at this point. But for Le'Veon Bell, and they still have Luke Falk at quarterback.
Well, that's the thing I want to get into is Sam Darnold obviously had his mono, but last report I saw is that he has a chance to play Sunday. I wouldn't say it's probable. I would still say it's questionable to not playing, but he is back to throwing the ball again. He's doing football activities, so there is a slight chance that Sam Darnold could play, and if he plays, I'm higher on the Jets, obviously, than if Luke Falk plays.
Of course, yeah.
If Luke Falk plays, I'm not starting any Jets passing options. The only guy I would start would be Le'Veon Bell. If Sam Darnold's in there, I'm definitely starting Robbie Anderson. He's a deep threat. Like you said, the Eagles secondary is one of the 3 or 4 worst secondaries in football. The run defense is tough, so Le'Veon Bell will have to get his money in the passing game. They've held Freeman, Johnson, Kerryon Johnson, that is, and they've held some good running backs to some mediocre days, Aaron Jones. So I'd be a little bit concerned on the rushing game for Le'Veon Bell, but in the passing game, that's where Le'Veon Bell makes his money, and so I would start Le'Veon Bell. What about the Eagles, Garrett? Where are you going with them on this matchup?
And I wrote about Carson Wentz on Pog's blog. I think he's one of the best starts of the week. The New York Jets defense, I believe, is the passing defense is 19th in the league.
Good matchup.
It is a good matchup for Carson Wentz. I believe he's going to be getting at the very least, he's going to be getting Alshon Jeffrey back this week. If not, he'll be getting Deshaun Jackson back as well. So you're not worried about the brick hands of Nelson Aguilar. And Zach Ertz, must start every week. So I think this is a great matchup for any of the Eagles receivers. Of course, you're not going to start Matt Collins anymore because I don't think he's going to be getting nearly or any snaps for that matter compared to the other three top receivers over there.
Yeah, I had Wentz's last week on Thursday Night Football. I had him as a cold start, like a buyer beware type of deal where I thought he would
and we were all wrong on
bust, but I wouldn't say completely wrong because he only threw for 160 yards, I believe. And so he made his money because the Packers gave him some short fields, and Miles Sanders had a good return, and he had passing touchdowns, but his passing yardage wasn't there. So I mean, he did save your day with 3 passing touchdowns, but like you said, I think Carson Wentz is in for a good week this week. The Jets at home, this is a plus matchup. If Deshaun Jackson plays, I'm playing him. Alshon Jeffrey had
same scenario.
He played last Thursday. It's basically like a week and a half off because they played Thursday, so he probably will play. I'm starting him. Zach Ertz is the start, and I would start both Jordan Howard and Miles Sanders. And this is a matchup where I think in the second half they're going to ride those 2 running backs.
And I want to update this. The New York Jets are actually 28th against the pass, so
it's even better.
Even better matchup for them. Who are you taking?
In this game, I think it's easy. The Eagles. If the Eagles lose this game, there's going to be
some questions that need to be answered.
There's going to be a lot of questions going on. This is almost a lock. I hate locking things because then it comes back to bite you. But this is almost a guarantee. This is probably, if we had to pick one team to win, if Luke Falk's in at quarterback, I don't see any reason the Jets come in and upset them. So
I agree.
The Jaguars at the Panthers. Quickly into the Jaguars. Gardner Minshew, he played okay. He's not a great fantasy option.
Right.
You'd have to be in the 2 quarterback league, or you'd have to really be stressing to play him. Leonard Fournette had over 200 yards rushing last week. That was good to see. At Denver, mile up in the atmosphere. It's a tough place to play. They rode Leonard Fournette, and he looked good. And that's the best Leonard Fournette's looked in a while.
Yeah.
He's an RB1 for me at Carolina. It's not a great matchup, but
And Carolina's 24th against the run, so I think it's a better matchup for
Well, yeah,
Fournette
you've
than
seen
it
what
is.
Carolina did to Houston, and they kind of slowed down Watson in Houston. So I think there's a lot of running here for Leonard Fournette.
Most surprising thing, they're first against the pass. Panthers are first, like the best pass defensive team in the league so far, which really surprised me when I see that. But you do, yeah, when you talk about what they did to
To
Deshaun Watson.
and DeAndre Hopkins and
Yeah.
that entire Houston offense. Quickly get into the wide receivers. Westbrook to me is nothing more than a flex option.
Agreed.
DJ Shark actually is the number one there. He only had like 4 targets last week, but he's still the number one option in that offense.
Yeah.
And he looks good. He's a big physical receiver. They throw it to him. I think he's the number one there. He's a start for me. Anyone else on Jacksonville we're looking at?
I mean, I think Shark is a wide receiver 2 or a flex option at best, especially against this pass defense. And when it comes to reliable passing options for Jacksonville, you're really not looking at.
I think
a
that's
whole
the
lot.
two that
Those
you
are the two
that
gotta
you're
look at.
interested in. For Carolina, Kyle Allen.
Beast.
Do you think he's a streamer this week at home?
I don't know. I mean, the Jacksonville defense is pretty good just as a whole. I like what Kyle Allen did against the Texans. I didn't think he'd do that well against Houston, and he put up 4 touchdowns in his debut. So, like, I wouldn't put it out. I wouldn't put it against him to come out here and.
I mean, he did have 3 fumbles against Houston, which kind of goes unnoticed because you look at the stat sheet, look at yards, touchdowns, interceptions, and he didn't throw picks, but he had 3 fumbles, so he's got to do a better job of taking care of the football. My opinion on Kyle Allen is he's nothing special as a quarterback. I think so far it's been good for Carolina, but they're going to face some tougher matchups here. And he didn't play great against Houston, but he played well enough. They rode Christian McCaffrey to a win, and their defense played well. I wouldn't be interested in starting Allen in this one as a streamer. I would look elsewhere. McCaffrey's obviously a start. DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel are starts for me. Greg Olsen, when healthy, is a start. And that's about it.
Yeah, and when you talk about Kyle Allen, Jaguars 22nd against the pass, and the Texans 21st. So it's going to be a very similar game, I think, for Kyle Allen, unless they're able to.
I just don't see the upside of multiple touchdown passes.
I agree.
I think they ride McCaffrey again, and it could be a couple touchdown passes, but I think they. I think
Moore
McCaffrey.
Could get like, if Moore gets loose for like 1 or 2 plays, I think that's a good wide receiver 2, upside play. But other than that, him and Curtis Samuel.
Yeah, I would probably rather have Curtis Samuel over DJ Moore just because I think he's better fit for that offense. But I have no problem with DJ Moore. I think Curtis Samuel is the better, not necessarily better football player, but he fits what they try to do better.
And they try to fit both of them like 1A and 1B, I think, on that offense. So
who are you taking in this game? Jags or the Panthers?
I was surprised at how good the Panthers' pass defense is, so I think Gardner Minshew's going to struggle. But this is you pick first. I can't.
You want to see who I pick first?
Yeah, I'm curious.
All right. Well, this is obviously you said it's. I think it's going to be a close game. I don't see it being very high scoring. Both defenses are above average. I think I'm going to lean on the home team here. I'm taking the Panthers.
I'm going to take the Panthers as well.
This is where I'd go. I think if this game's played in Jacksonville, I'd take Jacksonville. But I think these teams are 2 evenly matched teams. They're above average defenses, like I said. But I'm going to take Carolina here. I like McCaffrey in this game to control the clock, and if Jalen Ramsey probably won't play again even if he is on the team. So I just see the Panthers here at home. That's why I'm taking the Panthers.
Agree. I'll take the Panthers as well.
The next matchup, Minnesota Vikings at the Giants. Garrett, where are you going with this one as far as fantasy players on Minnesota?
Kirk Cousins stinks.
Yeah.
I think Dalvin Cook is going to be the number 1 scoring player this week.
Ooh.
The New York Giants, bad run defense. I'll try to pull up where they are on the list. They are 19th, so they're not that bad. But
Dalvin Cook is good.
Dalvin Cook is, as a player is incredible. Great blocking schemes down there, and up there in Minnesota. He's just going to tear through this defense. I think they're going to ride on him heavier than they have in any other game, which is a big statement considering the first game when Kirk Cousins threw like 10 passes or what it was. I think Cook's due for like a close to 200-yard day. Maybe a touchdown, maybe touchdown, 2 touchdowns in there. I think.
You think he's in for a Nick Chubb day, 160 yards and 3 scores that?
It's something similar. I think Nick Chubb,
You mean
Nick
Dalvin Cook?
Yeah, Dalvin Cook. Yeah, Nick Chubb and Dalvin Cook, similar players. And I think they're both due for. I think Dalvin Cook is due for a pretty big day against the Giants. When it comes to Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen, yes, there's concern there. I think Thielen is eventually going to, or Thielen and Diggs are eventually going to, turn it up, cook it up later on this season. I wonder if this is going to be the game to do it, though, because I think they're just going to ride so heavily on Dalvin Cook that it's not even going to matter until, what they do.
Right.
So that's my thoughts on the Vikings offense. Going into the New York Giants offense, Daniel Jones, Danny Dimes, has looked pretty good. I like what he's been doing. I wonder how he's going to do against the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, against the pass, they are Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota Vikings are 9th against the pass, so I don't think he's going to do as well. Wayne Gallman, he did pretty well last week. Vikings are really good against the run as well. Vikings are 11th against the run, so I wouldn't trust either of those guys to get it done. I think this is the first week Golden Tate's going to be back against former rival of his, former Detroit rival, and it's going to be a very suspect game for both of them. I think this is going to be more of a reality check, and I think this is going to be a game that's due for the Vikings to. I don't want to say dominate, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's 3 scores or more.
Getting to the Vikings, obviously Kirk Cousins is not a factor in fantasy football. Dalvin Cook is an RB1. This is a good matchup. I think Alexander Madison, this is a sneaky play. He could be a good matchup here. As I think the Vikings will, get an early lead and they'll lean on the running game because they want to win games.
Right.
They're in the business of winning games, and Kirk Cousins looks very bad. Their passing game looks very bad. So Madison's a sneaky flex play for me. Stephon Diggs last week actually looked okay. He had 7 catches for 108 yards. The thing with him and Thielen now is I feel like it's kind of like what's happening in Detroit with Marvin Jones, Kenny Galladay.
Yeah.
Where you have 2 talented receivers, but at any week, one guy could outshine the other guy. It's not like a consistent Julio Jones is going to outshine Ridley every week. Where you got that alpha dog at the wide receiver core. I think they're both evenly matched receivers. And so with Diggs and Thielen, low-end wide receiver 2s for me. Not one of them is pulling away from the other. Thielen had a very bad week last week, and he didn't sound happy in the press conference. Getting into the Giants here, Evan Ingram is definitely a tight end 1. He's looked good so far this year.
Oh, for sure. I forgot to mention him, but yeah, he's.
I'm not starting Daniel Jones in this matchup. The Vikings are a very good defense. I think they're gonna get it to him all day long. This could be a tough day for Daniel Jones, getting sacked a lot. Could be a few turnovers. Wayne Gallman to me is a flex option. He looked good last week, but he's playing the Vikings now, so this is a lot tougher matchup than against the Redskins.
Yeah.
So Wayne Gallman's a flex, even though he looked good. Golden Tate is a flex until I see what happens there because he's not a big touchdown guy. He's a reception guy. PPR, he's a solid floor guy.
Yeah.
Sterling Shepard looks really good. He definitely looks like a low-end wide receiver 2 to me. Not a great matchup against the Vikings, obviously. So I'm down on the Giants offense. I'm still starting them outside of Daniel Jones, but I'm down on the Giants offense. I think the Vikings handily win this game.
So do I, yeah.
So obviously I'm picking the Vikings here at the Giants to handily win this game.
Yeah. Over or under 1.5 interceptions for Daniel Jones?
I would say over that. He had 2 last week against Washington. The Vikings are definitely a better defense. They'll get after him more. I see he could panic and throw a couple interceptions. I see 2 interceptions is pretty realistic here.
I'm going to say under. Just because.
You think he's not going to throw 2 interceptions?
I think he's going to get sacked more than he will throw interceptions.
All right.
Getting into the Falcons at Texans, 2 teams who have both kind of underperformed when it comes to team expectations. What do you like from the Falcons offense?
The Falcons, I'm definitely starting Matt Ryan. He's throwing the ball a lot, even though the Atlanta Falcons look terrible and they just don't look like a good football team when they made the Super Bowl. Matt Ryan still got passing volume. He's still a good quarterback. He's 300 yards a week, pretty safe there. He's just got to cut down on the interceptions is what has got to happen. Julio Jones, wide receiver 1, probably going to be a top 3 wide receiver finish this week. Houston's secondary is brutal. Calvin Ridley scares me a little bit. The first 2 weeks, he looked very good. He looked like he had a strong role in that offense. Then he goes into week 3, 1 target, 1 catch for 6 yards. And then this past week, he only had 6 targets. So I'm a little bit concerned that they're not using Ridley like they did the first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I feel like they're pounding Austin Hooper with targets. Austin Hooper right now is a tight end 1. He's a top 5 tight end right now. And you feel comfortable starting him because, I mean, Matt Ryan, even it doesn't matter, fantasy points or fantasy points. If
Right.
Hooper gets 6 catches for 60 yards in the fourth quarter, that's money right there. So Hooper's a tight end 1. Devontae Freeman scares me. He had another poor day rushing. He had like 2 yards a carry, but he saved himself in the passing game. He had, I believe it was 7 or 8 receptions last week, so that's what you like to see. But Ito Smith has a role. To me, I'm just worried with Freeman. So Freeman to me, low end running back 2, but I'm not happy playing him. I'm playing him if I don't have better options.
I think this is going to be a better week for Freeman. I think he is a running back 2, but I think he's more like middle end. The Texans have the 16th, run defense, so they're, it's right middle of the pack, literally. So it's not going to be anything special from Freeman, but it's not going to be a downer of a day, I don't think. What really scares me in this matchup is the Texans offense. They are the 28th passing offense,
Really?
going up against the 7th best passing defense.
See, I don't see Atlanta as this. They might be ranked the 7th best passing defense through 3 or 4 weeks, but I don't see any way Atlanta comes in here and holds them down. I think this is a big bounce back week for Houston. DeAndre Hopkins looked bad. He's looked bad the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
Watson had an off game after a really good 3 games. I think the Texans are in a prime bounce back spot here on the offense. I don't see Atlanta.
And it helps that they're at home, but I think the Falcons, like, just as a talented team, are just going to do well enough to be able to.
I don't think their defense is that great anymore. They lost Neal, their safety. Outside of Deion Jones, their linebacker, who's a star, I don't see their defense is scaring me. I would feel comfortable starting Watson. I'd feel comfortable starting Hopkins. I'd feel
comfortable starting them too.
I think this is a high-scoring game. I think this is a shootout.
Okay.
And they both have the offenses to go back and forth at each other. I don't think the
Right.
defenses are great. Houston's secondary is awful, and
Yeah.
they're J.J. Watt looks better than he has the first couple weeks, but outside their front 7, Houston's defense is vulnerable. So I think Matt Ryan's good here. Watson's obviously good, and then like I said, Hopkins, Fuller, and those are the 2 guys I'm comfortable starting. If Kenny Stills is healthy, he's a boomer bust, home run hitter. If you're looking
I
for
would cut bait
upside,
with Kenny Stills.
I'm just saying, if you're looking for upside, you're projected to lose by 15 points, and you need a big week. You could throw a dart.
Right.
And Duke Johnson, Carlos Hyde. This is another kind of like Freeman, Ito Smith, where they both getting equal touches. If I can, I'm staying away from that backfield right now until one of them steps
out.
the role. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Who do you think wins the game?
I'll take Houston.
I'm going to take the Atlanta Falcons.
Really? On the road?
Yeah. I mean, they looked bad against the Titans.
They've looked bad, all season
long.
They
All
barely beat at Philadelphia. If it wasn't for the drop touchdown by Aguilar, they would have lost that game. So
our first difference of the game.
Next game, Buccaneers at Saints. I'll get into the Buccaneers really quick. Offense, Jameis Winston looks really good this year. Week 1, he had a couple pick sixes. It was like, this is Jameis Winston all over again. But he's quietly having a good year, and this is a contract year for him, so he's going to be even more motivated to stay playing well. I think this is a good matchup not a good matchup. I think this is, you could play Jameis Winston here. I'm not concerned with the Saints secondary. I'm concerned with the Saints pass rush. They get after it. I believe they had 5 or 6 sacks. They're tenacious. They're good on.
Yeah.
I'm starting Jameis Winston as a low-end quarterback 1. Ronald Jones looks like the running back in that backfield over Peyton
Barber.
Yeah. And Mike Evans looks phenomenal. Chris Godwin.
Their
when healthy-
offense is starting to really, and they scored 55 against
Yeah,
the
Chris
Rams.
Godwin, when healthy, looks like an absolute star, too. They got great talent on offense.
Yeah.
And Bruce Arians is a good offensive mind, so I'm starting everyone on offense. What about you on the Buccaneers side?
I agree with that. I think this is going to be a great game for the Bucs to go out. New Orleans Saints 24th pass defense. They're not that good.
Yeah, they're better at rushing the passer as far as than covering.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah,
than covering.
I would agree with that because they've really upped the D line in the past 2 to 3 years. So I think it's going to be more of a shootout. I think Saints and Buccaneers go back and forth. Going into the Buccaneers, I would agree. I would start most, if not everybody, on that Buccaneers team, including O.J. Howard. I think we've seen tight end duos that have done better than O.J. Howard by themselves, not even combined. But I think this is going to be the first week where O.J. Howard really gets some targets. If he doesn't get targets, then I would cut bait with because this is really the prime game for him to do it. You would say last week would have been because they scored 55, but I think this week is going to be an even bigger testament. Going into the Saints, Teddy Bridgewater, I'm not too confident on, but I think they're going to throw the ball a lot. Taysom Hill destroyed a guy last week. I don't know why they don't start him at quarterback.
Plus 5 fantasy points for block.
Yeah, yeah. So,
By the way, do you see what Joe Mixon did to that cornerback on Pittsburgh?
I did not. Why don't you?
You should go look at the video. He actually absolutely ended the guy's life.
Joe Mixon doesn't surprise me.
There was like a all out. It was like just the guy had a running. He timed the snap perfectly, and he came in hot, and he thought he was gonna come at Andy Dalton. And all I could tell you is watching it on TV. All you could see was the guy literally just land on his back.
Jeez.
I'm surprised he didn't lay on the ground for a couple minutes because that looked like he got
right.
It looked like he got his lights knocked out. So
yeah. Back into the Saints. I would temper your expectations with Alvin Kamara. Of course he's still gonna be a starting running back because he is every other week. But Buccaneers have the number 1 rushing defense. That surprised me. But and I think part of that it helps because of last week the Rams did not run all that much. But even before then, I believe they were number 1 rushing defense. So I would start Alvin Kamara, but I would temper your expectations. But we try to get a bigger play at your RB2 or at your flex. Michael Thomas is going to do well. I said that the Saints' pass defense is bad. The Buccaneers' pass defense is even worse. So Michael Thomas, maybe even Jared Cook, like some of these guys are going to.
You try to slip in Jared Cook, and they're like, I wouldn't notice.
That might be
trying to slip that one in.
That might be a bit of a stretch. I'm trying to get rid of him. I don't know if you guys.
Yeah, you try to slip that in to make yourself feel good about possibly playing him, but no. For me, Teddy Bridgewater not a start in fantasy. He's a game manager, which is working out for New Orleans right now. They're 2-0 without. Well, yeah, 2-0 when Teddy Bridgewater starts. So, that's all he's got to do is manage the game and not, be Kirk Cousins. Shots fired.
Yeah.
But for the offense, Kamara is the top 10 play at running back, obviously. Even if Tampa Bay's ranked good against the run, Alvin Kamara is just different than everyone else. And
yeah.
he's not a guy that gets 25 carries a game. He's a guy that gets 15 carries a game and he gets 10 targets a game. So
yeah.
Kamara is probably in my opinion 1A with McCaffrey is the best pass catching, get the ball and make plays on the backfield.
Yeah, and I would agree with you on that.
And so I'm not worried about McCaffrey. I'm not worried about Kamara here. Michael Thomas I'm concerned about it just because it's Teddy Bridgewater. I'm still playing Michael Thomas, but the upside's no longer there. He had 9 catches, 95 yards last week, but that's a good week, but that's nothing like
that's not your wide receiver 1 week. Right. I hear what you mean.
So Thomas, I would temper my expectations. I think they will ride Kamara in this game. Jared Cook, obviously, to me, is not a non-factor right now until Drew Brees returns. When Drew Brees comes back, then I'm interested.
Yeah.
But not with Teddy Bridgewater at the helm.
I'd cut bait with Latavius Murray.
I'm not happy with Ted Ginn or, any of the other pass catchers there. To me, it's Kamara and Michael Thomas. That's who I'm starting on the Saints offense.
Right.
I'm not trying to get cute and play Teddy Bridgewater or Jared Cook or any of these other guys.
I can't imagine you're in a bad spot at quarterback because I think there's a lot of guys who you could start.
Well, people may try to stream him because it's the Buccaneers at home, but this is Teddy Bridgewater trying to get to people. He's a game manager. He's good at it. He's doing his job,
Yeah.
and he's
I'd
looked
agree with you.
okay, but he doesn't look really good. So
Yeah.
and I think Sean Payton knows that, and that's why their offense looks different than when you've seen earlier. That's why Michael Thomas doesn't get these explosive plays, and they're relying more on just safety and their defensive pass rush than they are as far as gunslinging it. So,
Right.
who do you got winning this game?
I want to check one stat before I make.
I'm actually, for me, this is easy. I'm taking the Saints. The Buccaneers look great at the
I'm
Rams.
going to take the Bucs.
The Buccaneers look great at the Rams, but I think this is a letdown week. They're going to be high. The Saints, to me, they're just really well coached. Sean Payton's a great motivator. They're still playing for Drew Brees. This team is motivated from previous seasons of getting screwed over with calls.
Yeah.
I think they continue to roll. This isn't, to me, I think this is like 27-24. It's going to be a close game. Don't get me wrong, but
Right.
I think Jameis Winston, he tends to throw a couple interceptions. He still may have a good week, but I think the Saints get the win here. In New Orleans, that's a tough place to play. If this is in Tampa Bay, you may have a point here, but in New Orleans, tough place to play. You've seen what they did against Dallas. I would be all over the Saints in this game.
Yeah, they really limited Ezekiel Elliott last week, which really had a big impact for a lot of fantasy owners.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to try to stop the combination of Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. I think that's going to be their main focus on defense. And I think they're going to be able to run Ronald Jones, and he's going to have a good day. And I think if they're able to, I don't think they'll stop him in the passing game, but if they're able to slow down Kamara in the running game, I think they could have a pretty good shot of taking us over. I'm going to take the Buccaneers on an upset this week at the Saints.
Bills at the Titans. The
Oh, boy.
Bills. The news here: Josh Allen obviously left the game against New England.
Yeah.
To me, it looked like a concussion.
Yeah.
Right now, you got to keep checking it, but right now, I would say he's questionable to play. If he doesn't play, it's Matt Barkley, and that affects everything. Tennessee's defense is really good. They're a top 10 defense in football.
Right.
They're just underrated because they play in Tennessee. So if Matt Barkley's there, I'm concerned with the Bills' offense. If Josh Allen plays, you can make an argument for streaming John Brown. You can make an argument for Devin Singletary if he plays. Frank Gore actually looks deep. He still looks like a solid flex option.
Right.
He's not a high ceiling, but there's a floor there for him. So if you're desperate, you can play him. But I don't see the Bills here, if Josh Allen is out, as having a lot of intrigue on offense. What about you?
I think on offense, yeah, you really got to think about, some of the receivers for the Bills not doing well. John Brown and I forget the other
Cole
guy's name,
Beasley.
but Cole Beasley.
Yep.
I don't think they're going to have a good day. The running backs, I'm not really touching that situation until they name Devin Singletary the starter because he should be the rightful starter.
But
Frank
he's
Gore.
been banged up, so that's
Yeah, I
why
know.
Frank Gore's in. But
I'm aware, yeah. And so I think Frank Gore's been doing all right, but I think it's still going to be kind of like a 1A 1B situation with the run game. Matt Barkley should not be in the league, so
hey, I show a little respect.
hey, he's been playing since the 90s. I understand. Matt Barkley.
Wow.
I
What did
I
Matt
don't,
Barkley ever do to you? Did he beat you in Madden or something? What's going on here?
Matt Barkley,
You
fine,
sound like
fine
you sound
backup
like
quarterback.
Colin Cowherd talking about Baker Mayfield over here.
Fine backup quarterback. I don't expect him to do a whole lot in terms of getting the start. Yes, the Tennessee defense is average both against the run and the pass, but it doesn't matter. Matt Barkley.
They're better than their numbers
Barkley.
say they are. They play
And
up
their
to
talent is
they
better.
play
I
up to
would
their
agree.
competition. They play down to their competition. That's the one thing about Tennessee, and they will play up to the Bills. It's in Tennessee. Let's get into the Titans offense real quick. Mariota, he looked
I'm
good
scared for them,
last
too.
week. He looked good last week, but that's against Atlanta. I'm
Yeah.
not starting. Bills are a top 10 defense in football.
Yeah,
They're well coached. I'm not starting Mariota.
fourth against the pass.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry to me is a low-end RB2. He's just touchdown dependent. Deion Lewis, non-factor for me.
Seventh against the run, yeah.
I'm intrigued with A.J. Brown. He had 2 touchdowns last week, but only, I believe he had 3 catches. So
Yeah, he's probably like a wide receiver 1, but only has like 8 catches on the year.
it's kind of like that. It's kind of like that Marquise Hollywood Brown where people are intrigued, but every time he catches the ball, it's a touchdown. But the problem is he doesn't catch the ball all the time.
I hear you.
Corey Davis actually looked good. I think he had 5 catches, 90 yards, and a touchdown. So I actually would be, if someone dropped Corey Davis in your league, which could have happened, I would be all over that to stash him at least. It's a lot better than some other options at wide receiver. You don't have to play him,
right?
But, he looked good last week. So Davis to me is a flex option, depending on your roster situation. Delaney Walker, I think he only had 1 catch last week, so he's a dart at tight end. What about you on Tennessee's offense? What do you?
I'm scared for Tennessee's offense. I think this is going to be a low-scoring game in general. Mariota, he did look good against the Falcons. That's the Falcons. Bills, like you said, top 10. I would argue top 5 defense in football. I think they're really going to try to stop the smash. What works for the Titans, I think, is they run this smash mouth offense with Derrick Henry and my dog's crying in the back. That's why we're laughing. So they run the smash mouth defense and not defense offense, and then they'll stretch out the defense by throwing these long balls to Corey Davis, to A.J. Brown, to some of these guys they're not used to. Some of these no-name guys that really don't get these kind of plays anywhere else in the league. So, but I think they're going to end up taking away the run game, and so they're not going to be able to stretch out the defense because they have Tre'Davious White. They have, I believe it's Micah Hyde for the safeties back there. Just great talent on the defensive side of the ball. Good coaching from Sean McDermott. I think this is going to be, an interesting game to see who wins. I would not start any of the Titans wide receivers, in my opinion. I think it's going to be a bad matchup for them. Derrick Henry, you could, but I think that's going to be the main focus of the defense to try to take him away. So I wouldn't lean too heavily on him either. Real interesting week for both offenses in this game.
Who are you taking in this one? I'll let you pick first.
I'm going to go with the Titans. Matt Barkley stinks. He's going to prove that this weekend. And
can I make a pick depending on if Josh Allen plays or not? Can I do like a
an if and or?
Yeah, like if he plays and because I don't know if he's playing or not. Can I make a pick on if he plays? I think.
Well, I would pick the Bills if Josh Allen plays too.
All right, so we have to go with our gut feeling here. Is Josh Allen going to play? I'll say no, he doesn't play this week.
I don't think.
So I'm going to take the Titans. If Josh Allen plays, I would probably pick the Bills here, but. Yeah. I got to pick now, and I'm going to say he doesn't play. I'd say they lean on the side of caution, and I think the Titans win this game.
We're recording on Tuesday, so we have no idea what the status is for most of these players this week. Going into the Cardinals at the Bengals. Loser City.
This is a great matchup.
Great matchup. Surprised
Monday Night Football was probably I'm a big football fan. I love watching any football. I'll watch preseason football with my eyes glued to the TV. It was hard to watch. The Bengals offense looks brutal.
Yeah. It's tough to
Joe Mixon's a very talented running back, and he averaged 6 yards a carry last night. But their offensive line's terrible.
Yeah.
Andy Dalton is far below average as
Stinks.
quarterback. He's one of the probably if you're looking at 32 starting quarterbacks, he's probably 30 to 32. Honestly, he's he could throw the ball.
Did you put Rosen above him?
But no, what I'm saying is Andy Dalton got an arm, right? He can throw the ball. He's the Red Rocket, the rifle, whatever you want to call him. But he is not there. In his head mentally, he's just not a great quarterback.
They needed to replace him 3 years ago.
Well, I think they're going to be replacing them in the draft this year.
Tua.
Hey, they got to be taking it with Miami, so good luck with that.
Yeah. So,
but let's just quickly get into the Cardinals. I'm starting Kyler Murray. You go look at his numbers. He hasn't been great, blowing up like Lamar Jackson, but he's still been good. He's right around 20 points a week in fantasy. He's starting to run the ball more, which helps you in fantasy. He had 2 rushing touchdowns past 2 weeks, so that's good to see. David Johnson, he's he's actually catching the ball better than he's running the ball. As far
Right.
as he's not getting a lot of yards.
And I think
per
he
carry.
runs the ball better. Bengals 27th run defense. So I think he's going to
Well, yeah, we
run
just
pretty
seen
well.
what the Pittsburgh Steelers did with James Conner and Samuels.
Yeah.
They just tore him up. So this is a good matchup for the Cardinals.
Yeah, I would agree, and I would agree with you that Kyler Murray would make a good start this week. Larry Fitzgerald, I think Larry Fitzgerald and Christian Kirk could make good low end wide receiver 2 flex plays, depending on whoever has the bigger matchup or the best day. And then for the Bengals, go start Joe Mixon.
Yeah, I think
Tyler
this is, I
Boyd
think
as
this
a
is a
flex.
good matchup
Yeah.
for Mixon because Arizona's just they're banged up defense. They're still this is a matchup where Joe Mixon can't produce here.
Arizona's 28th against the run.
Yeah.
I think Joe Mixon's going to do well, and then they're a bottom tier pass defense as well. So
I
think Tyler
just got
Boyd
done tearing up Andy Dalton, and rightfully so. But in fantasy football, you could stream Andy Dalton this week.
I think you could.
This is a good matchup at home against the Cardinals. I just got done trashing this guy, so you obviously know I'm not the biggest Andy Dalton fan as having be my quarterback. But in
Yeah.
fantasy football, 300 yards this week could happen. So if you're streaming, you got Baker Mayfield, you're shaky on him Monday night at San Francisco. You don't want to go there,
Right.
or just you have whatever the case is. You got a bad matchup and you want to stream. Andy Dalton's probably a top 3 streamer this week.
I would agree.
Joe Mixon's a start for me. I don't love Eifert. He's disappointing. He dropped a touchdown last week.
Eifert's been disappointing for about 2 years now, so I'm not.
Yeah,
I've
but he was
been
always a
bit-
big touchdown guy, and he was
Yeah.
targeted twice in the end zone, not just the red zone. He's targeted twice in the end zone, and he dropped one, and the other one was just a little bit outside. So I'm not high on him. John Ross, boomer bust. You're really
Agreed.
low chance there.
And then
Tyler Boyd, I like. He had a
Flex
bad week.
option,
He had a
yeah.
bad week against Pittsburgh, but their whole offense was bad. They never could get going. They didn't know
Yeah.
what they're doing. This is a huge plus matchup for Tyler Boyd. I think he's in for a good week this week.
I would agree. I think good flex option.
Yeah,
Agreed.
I am taking the Cardinals on the road.
I was
here.
gonna
I
take
think
the
they get
I'm
their
gonna take the
first win.
Cardinals as well.
I think they get their first win here. Nothing special with the Bengals. Their defense is nothing special. I think Kyler
Yeah.
Murray and the Cardinals get their first win of the year on the road.
Yeah. That was our game of the week. Moving to our other game of the week, the Patriots at the Redskins. Redskins being the biggest home underdog in NFL history, getting plus 16 at home against the Patriots. Do the Redskins score a point?
Oh yeah.
You think so?
I think if Haskins plays, they score at least a field goal.
Okay.
This is a weird thing. Last week they put him in. Like, why even put him in there? If you're gonna put him in there, let him know you're the starter going into the game. I don't know what they were doing. They played Case Keenum. He threw a pick, and then they're like, you're out." It's like, all right, he just got thrown
I don't know
in
if
the
you've
fire.
heard, but the front office likes Haskins more than the coaching staff does.
I would expect their head coach to be. He's not long for the job there in Washington.
Yeah.
He's been a while since he's looked good, and you can't throw a rookie in the fire like that. That's just. I mean, the Giants did that, but the Giants were playing Tampa Bay, and it's not like it's not like
Yeah.
the Giants have a great secondary, but. They threw him in there. It's not like it was in the fourth quarter. They threw him in
Right.
there for possession. They threw him in there after one possession of Case Keenum, and it's like, all right, well, you got the reins. And I mean, that is just a tough matchup.
He's gonna look terrible against the Patriots.
I would, in my opinion, I would play Case Keenum this week. I would let Case Keenum go out there and throw for 200.
Oh, I thought
would
you
let-
meant in fantasy. I was like,
no,
wait,
in real life football, I would
Yeah.
spare Haskins because you got to keep his confidence.
the
up.
mental trauma of having to go up
The
against-
Patriots are going to run away with this. This is easy for me. I'm starting James White. I'm starting Tom Brady. I'm starting
Yeah.
Josh Gordon. I'm starting Julian Edelman if he's healthy. Burkhead to me, I'm not as high on. I think he's a little bit overrated in fantasy.
Yeah, I think
Sony Michel's
going to do
He's in a
great.
good matchup here. Yeah.
I think he's, Redskins 29th against the run. I think he's going to do the best out of all the Patriots' skill positions, I think. Edelman's a good play. So is Josh Gordon. I think Philip Dorsett was really disappointing last week. I expected him to do a little bit more. But
That was not a great matchup, though. Buffalo is a very good defense. So.
Agreed. But I think he'll rebound against the Redskins.
Quickly on the Redskins, the only guy I'm interested in here is two guys, actually. Chris Thompson in PPR because he catches the ball
Okay.
out the backfield. It's nothing special, but
Yeah.
PPR. And Terry McLaurin, if he's healthy, he is a top 25 fantasy receiver, and he just looks amazing. I think he was overshadowed by Paris Campbell in Ohio State, and he looks very good in Washington. He's definitely a top 25 play. But this is not, it's the Patriots. If he gets matched up against Gilmore, then good
Forget
night.
it.
But I think they can find ways to get him the ball. He's a good receiver, and he's the only guy. I'm not interested in Vernon Davis or
any of that.
I'm just not interested.
I would quick note about the Redskins. I would cut bait with Adrian Peterson. He's not looked good so far.
He looks like the 34-year-old.
Yeah, he does now. Now he looks pretty bad. And he was someone who I thought was going to do really well this year. Darius Geis is still banged up from what I remember.
Yeah, he's not playing.
And so I don't know.
Oh, this is easy for me. The Patriots will win this game.
I already wrote your name down on that. Yes, because I already figured you'd pick easy. So
moving on to the next game.
The black and blue division.
The Ravens at the Steelers. The
Big rivalry
Ravens,
game.
Lamar Jackson. He's a good QB1 play this week. Mark Ingram. I think this is a good Mark Ingram game. They kind of got game scripted, or I feel like Mark Ingram he's been pretty safe floor with a high ceiling. He had that big game against KC. I like Mark Ingram here. Hollywood Brown, when healthy, is a flex option for me. He's boom or bust, and that's what you're living with. Willie Snead, nothing special there. Mark Andrews is a good tight end if he plays. Definitely a high-end tight end one when he's healthy. Anything else there on the Ravens offense that I'm missing?
No, not really. I think the running game is going to do better. Steelers are in the bottom tier when it comes to defending the run. So I think Mark Ingram's due for a big day. I think, and they're an average pass defense, so I think, it's going to be a run-of-the-mill, whatever you expect from Lamar Jackson and co. From there. Hollywood Brown, I think he's a flex play, boom or bust, like you said earlier, when comparing him to someone else. And I think it's an all right matchup for it's not good, it's not bad either for the Ravens.
The Steelers, I'm not interested in Mason Rudolph as a flyer. James Conner looks great. You've seen what Nick Chubb did against that defense, so James Conner's in for a good week. Jalen Samuel's a sneaky play here. He lined up as Wildcat a few times. He's got a role in that offense. I think he'll have a decent game. You could throw him in as a flex. Smith-Schuster, I was high on him at the beginning of the year. I'm contemplating even starting him now with Mason Rudolph there. It doesn't look like he's.
I want to see what he does this week because the Ravens, and this might be because of they played against the Chiefs.
Marlon Humphrey, their cornerback on Baltimore, he shut down Odell Beckham Jr. last week. So there's a lot of concerns here. There's a red flag on the matchup. There's a red flag on they don't use him at all in this offense. There's just red flags everywhere. And this is the guy that I said with Ben Roethlisberger would be a top 3 wide receiver, and now I'm contemplating even starting him. And that sounds crazy, but if you're decent at wide receiver and you got Terry McLaurin, you got guys that you picked up or drafted late that are hitting, you could bench Juju Smith-Schuster in this game, and that's not crazy to me. He's just not involved in the offense.
I want to see how he does in this game, and this might be because that they played the Chiefs already. The Ravens are the 30th pass defense, and so I think I would take a chance on Mason Rudolph if you have no other options. I think Rudolph, he's like Kirk Cousins without the money. He might, he's a little more talented. I think.
Did you take that from Colin Cowherd?
No, I might have. I think I saw it on. I think I saw it on Twitter, so it might have been him. But I would. He's a little bit better than Kirk Cousins, not as highly paid, but he didn't turn the ball over against the Bengals. Granted, it's the Bengals, but I think he might have a pretty good week. I want to see what Smith-Schuster does in this game before I'm completely out on him. And the same goes for guys like Deontay Johnson and Vance McDonald, who he's targeted many times throughout his 1.5 games that he's played. So
Moncrief is a non-factor now. James Washington, you thought that he had the connection with Rudolph back in college, but he's the non-factor.
Yeah.
Deontay Thompson had that 43-yard touchdown catch, so you could fly him. You could use him as a flyer at flex.
Yeah.
And it's hard to bench your guys, right? I drafted Schuster late in the first round because I was high on him with Roethlisberger. So when you draft guys high, you don't want to bench them, right? Because if they go off, then it's rough for you. But I'm seriously contemplating benching Schuster because I need a high floor because
Yeah.
my team is good around him, but I can't afford a 1.5 point week. So the player's a lot better than you would think, but this is fantasy football. You need the production, and I don't think there's production this week. I think it's a tough matchup for him, and until the Steelers realize they got to get him the ball, they're going to ride James Conner, and he's not going to be a big factor.
Yeah,
Only
and even
4
though
targets last week.
and even though Nick Chubb blew up against them, Ravens are the 10th best run defense. So I wonder if that was more of Nick Chubb's just natural ability and just his talent more than that actual Browns trying to get him involved. So I think James Conner isn't going to do as well as what Nick is saying, but I think the pass offense is really what's going to thrive for Pittsburgh this week.
I'm going to take the Ravens in this matchup. Who are you going?
I'm going with the Ravens as well. I like, my mom's a big Steelers fan. She's disappointed whenever I don't pick the Steelers. So, but it's always entertaining to watch her, get upset over these AFC North rivalry matchups. But I think the Ravens are the better team. I think
every time Lamar Jackson runs for first down, you got to stand up and do this and say first down.
Yeah, do the little arm, throw.
You'll be on the street next week.
Yeah. But the Ravens are a more talented team. Even though the Browns won last week, I think the Ravens are going to be the ones who win the division by the end of the year. Getting into the next game, the Bears at the Raiders. Is this in London?
Don't quote me on this. I'd have to check.
Because I read somewhere that's saying it's in London. I've read elsewhere saying it's not. So
let me do a quick check here.
All right, go
into the players on the Bears real quick.
Yeah, the Bears. Chase Daniel. I might regret saying this, but I think Chase Daniel might elevate the Bears' offense beyond what it once was. Trubisky stinks, and I think that's going to elevate guys like David Montgomery who get a lot of receptions. I think Allen Robinson, Taylor Gabriel might get not more targets, but more plays to make a play on the ball. I think it's going to be a lot of short passes. Maybe some deep throws every once in a while, but I think it's going to be a lot of short passes to guys like Gabriel, Allen Robinson, David Montgomery. I think they might try to get it to Tariq Cohen every once in a while, but I think he's kind of shifted to the secondary role, and now David Montgomery's taken the full reins on that. So I think it's going to be a good matchup for a lot of those guys. I wouldn't say great. The Raiders actually Raiders are the 27th pass defense, so it's going to be better than average, I think. But even with Chase Daniel, he's either going to elevate it or he's going to bring it lower. I don't think he keeps it at the same level that Trubisky was before, which was tough to watch. So
to say the least,
even though they beat the Vikings, yeah. And actually Trubisky went out in that first series, so
yeah. This game is not in London, so
it's not in London.
Don't have to worry about that.
Okay.
Getting into the Bears real quick. Mitchell Trubisky probably out this week. I doubt he would play.
Yeah.
As shoulder injury. He's
looking at getting surgery, isn't he? That I saw. Or am I wrong on that?
I mean, last I seen it could be either season long or he could return. So I've seen both ends. I would just say he's not playing this week, which is pretty safe, especially against the Raiders. They don't need him. I think this is a good game for Tariq Cohen and David Montgomery. I think they're going to be leading this game, and I think Tariq Cohen and David Montgomery they'll each get their fair share of touches. Cohen better in PPR because he's a receiving back. He's basically a wide receiver. I'm not high on Trey Burton. He's non-factor to me. Allen Robinson's an okay flex option to me. Not running to start him with Chase.
And now
Daniel
they don't have Vontaze Burfict, so you don't have to worry about them getting hurt this week.
But with Chase Daniel there, I'm not high on I'll start Allen Robinson because I think he can get 7-8 targets. But it's Chase Daniel, so it is what it is.
He's either going to elevate it or bring it down, and I got to see a full game out of him before I can believe.
Quickly getting into the Raiders real quick. Derek Carr. This is not a good matchup for anyone. The only guy I'm starting here is Darren Waller, and I'll just get into Darren Waller's game log through the last 3 games. So against Kansas City, 6 catches, 63 yards.
He's the best receiver on that team.
At Minnesota, 13 receptions for 134 yards.
Jeez.
At Indianapolis, 7 for 53. So, the yardage is kind of fluctuating, but 60 yards receiving is you'll take that from your tight end. And
they're treating him like the number one receiver on that team, and that's
yeah,
great
he is
for
the number one
Mahomes.
receiver. So I'm high on. High is kind of a loose term because they play the Bears. So, I mean, if I'm looking at starters, I'm still starting Darren Waller.
Yeah.
I like Jacobs, but this is not a good matchup at all. You got to stay away from Josh Jacobs.
And this is the Khalil Mack revenge game, so
yeah.
you best believe that he's going to go on a rampage looking for at least 4 sacks before the night's over, just by himself. Forget the rest of the defense. But
yeah, the pass catchers, if you're really desperate, you could throw Tyrell Williams in there, but I'm not trying to get cute with anyone else. So, to me, an obvious start for me is Darren Waller.
I agree.
You would have to be stressing to start Josh Jacobs. I like him. He's a good player. He's had an okay fantasy year, but not against Chicago. Don't try to, it's not a good matchup.
Yeah, Derek Carr's about as soft as butter. So when he gets sacked, don't expect him to get back up. You might have to look at Nathan Peterman or some of these other backups coming into the
Over
game.
how many times Khalil Mack, how many sacks he gets in this game?
What's the
I don't know what the actual over/under is, but let's say
it's at 3.5.
Let's say 3.5. What are you taking?
I'm taking over.
Over?
If Khalil Mack gets less than 4 sacks,
Call
I
me
would be
crazy.
surprised.
I'll take the 3 or less. I think 3 or less. 3 sacks in a game is still a tremendous. Like we're talking
Just by himself.
We're talking
about
3
one
sacks.
man.
Like one guy getting 3 sacks in a game. We act like that's average. Like only 3. Like I think Khalil Mack will have a great day. 3 sacks. I'll take the under. I'll say 3.5 or I'll say 3 or less.
And I'm gonna assume you're taking the Bears for this.
Oh, don't write it down just yet.
Well, I'm writing my name.
I'm taking the Bears. Yeah, it doesn't matter to me. The Bears' defense is what carries this team, anyways. And there's a saying that defense travels on the road. So, defense travels on the road. Good luck.
Good luck.
And
Oakland
I think
Raiders.
this is a great game for that defense. I think Khalil Mack's going to be, he's going to be looking at John Gruden a lot on the sidelines after he gets a sack. He's going to be doing a lot of flexing. A lot of stretching his arm
you gave me
out.
up for 2 first-rounders?
He's going to do a lot of stretching his arm after he takes Carr down for the 4th time.
Did you see that the dance that Bradley Chubb did for the false start?
No, I didn't see it.
He was pointing at the guy who did the false start. He's jumping around pointing at him.
He's actually out for the year with an ACL.
Not Chubb.
Yeah, Bradley Chubb out for the year with an ACL.
In the same
Denver
game.
Denver defensive end, he's gone for the year.
What a tough roller coaster.
Things
That
couldn't
guy's-
get worse for the Broncos. Hey, they're 0-4. They got Joe Flacco as their quarterback, and now they lost their second best defensive player.
Well, all right, let's get it right into the Broncos, I guess. Broncos at Chargers, getting into the 4 o'clock games.
Okay,
It's tough.
Okay, I'm not starting Joe Flacco. That's pretty safe to
Stinks.
say. He's got a low ceiling, low floor. You know what? I would start Philip Lindsay. Chargers are good, but Philip Lindsay's he's talented enough to produce here. He would be a flex option for me. Royce Freeman, when healthy, is a flex option. I wouldn't want those guys to be my RB2. You'd be really stressing there. Anything else here? Noah Fant actually looked okay last week. He finally got involved.
If he's on waivers, he'd be someone I'd try to pick up.
I think it's a decent matchup here. Not a great matchup, but I think the Chargers are middle of the pack against passing. So
they're actually number 11 against the passing.
yeah, so just above
pass.
middle of the pack.
Yeah.
They're just above average.
So I think
The Chargers, obviously, I'm starting Rivers. It's at home, right? So it's
Right.
not in Denver. Starting Rivers.
well, I mean,
starting
it's
Melvin
kind of a
Gordon.
way since nobody goes to their games.
Yeah, it's not in Denver where it's the altitude and
Yeah, right.
the raucous crowd and all that stuff. It's kind of like a varsity football game. So I'm starting Rivers.
Yeah.
I'm starting Melvin Gordon. I'm starting Austin Eckler as a flex. Keenan Allen. He had a bad week last week, but it's Keenan Allen. He's fine. Mike Williams. He didn't play last week.
Denver's 5th against the pass, so I think you have to temper your expectations with them.
But if Mike Williams is healthy, I'm throwing him out there as a flex at least. There's no way
could-
I'm not playing him if he's on my team.
I agree.
That's about it. Is pass catching. Last week with the matchup, I went up and I picked up Dontrell Edmond just because they were playing Miami and he got me 76 yards receiving, which is fine. But I don't see that happening against the Broncos. So your 2 pass catchers looking at here is Allen and Mike Williams.
Denver's 30th against the run, so look for Melvin Gordon and Austin Eckler to go Hulkamania all over those guys,
Yeah.
run wild all over them.
That's about it for the Chargers. Who are you taking this game? I think it's pretty safe to say I'm taking the Chargers.
I might take the Yeah, I'll take the Chargers.
You had me there for a second.
All right, yeah. A lot of games are
Some
pretty
of
easy
these
to pick.
games are almost like it's if I don't get it right, then what is going on here? Like,
Yeah,
there's gonna be a lot of lopsided games.
I think so.
Uh,
Getting into one of the not lopsided games might be the game of the week. Packers
we
at
gotta
the
listen to Joe
Cowboys.
Buck in this game.
The Ice Bowl rematch.
I actually tend to just put it on mute and just listen to something else. I can't stand Joe Buck, Troy Aikman.
I don't hate him as much as everybody else does, but I think I think they get a lot
I can't
of crap.
decide who's worse, Joe Buck or Jim Nantz. I just can't.
You don't like Jim Nantz?
I like Tony Romo. I don't like Jim Nantz.
Oh,
Jim
that's-
Nantz puts me to sleep. Honestly, by the time I'm stressed out watching the Lions for 3 hours and I go
You're
get something to
Jim
eat, I go sit down and I hear Jim Nantz and I'm like, okay, this is gonna be a long 3 hours. And I tend to pass out and wake
Jim
up,
Nantz
pass out
shade.
and walk up.
Come on.
I wake up when Tony Romo's screaming, but Jim Nantz is just like.
Tony Romo screams in that microphone. He really does. It's like
So Tony Romo, you think he's a start this week?
yeah.
Jim
yeah.
Nantz a start or no? As a
Jim Nantz is
broadcaster?
not a start. I'd budget.
Okay, we're getting into the Packers at the Cowboys. Aaron Rodgers is a start, no doubt.
No doubt.
Devontae Adams looks like he's going to miss this game. Don't quote me on this, but he is questionable, and it looks like he's going to miss it with turf toe.
Yeah.
So I'm high on Geronimo Allison and MVS in this week. They're going to have to throw the ball. Their running game looks putrid. Aaron Jones isn't getting anything going. Their offensive line is not blocking, so I think this is
Yeah, and Dallas is 12th against the run. I don't think Aaron Jones is a great play this week. If you have other guys you can start,
Yeah.
I'd probably.
Aaron Jones is still. I'm starting him as a flex, and if you're
Yeah.
really desperate, you can start him as an RB too. But this is a good game for passing on the Packers, so I'm high on Allison and MVS in this week. And Jimmy Graham has found a role in that offense, and he's
Right.
a mid-tier tight end one.
I don't think Jimmy Graham is a great week along with Marquez Valdes-Scantling. Dallas Cowboys are actually 10th against the pass. Their coaching is better than what their talent is.
But they have not played Aaron Rodgers yet. I can go through
That's
the
a good
quarterbacks.
point, yeah.
They played against Ryan Fitzpatrick, Josh Rosen, that duo. They played against Teddy Bridgewater.
That's also a good
Who
point.
else they played? They played against Eli Manning week one. So you got to look at the quarterbacks they played. Aaron Rodgers is he's so much better than the rest of those guys.
Yeah.
Those numbers can be skewed, and I think those numbers are skewed.
Yeah, I probably agree
Take that
with
with
you.
a grain of salt.
I
So I
probably
just
agree
shot
with
down
you on
all
that,
those
yeah.
numbers. So start Aaron Rodgers, start Geronimo Allison, start MVS.
well,
I can't tell you MVS or Allison's going to be the guy that gets the better week.
And it's
but they
what-
both have
it's
a
2A and
chance.
2B, and it's like they ride the hot hand.
If,
It's like
if
whoever
Adams
they
is
get,
out,
yeah.
if Adams is there, then Adams is the guy. But if
Oh, that's
Adams
right,
looks
yeah.
like he's going to miss the game, it
So-
just looks like it. He's going to.
So they're both. I think they're both going to get equal targets, whether they actually catch the ball or not. I'd assume they
Well, they're
would
going to
because
have to because
Aaron Rodgers is deadly accurate.
mean-
So
Allison actually looked good last time we seen him against the Eagles.
Yeah.
He had a big time catch.
He looked good against
went
the Eagles, and he
unnoticed.
looked good
He had
against.
that huge catch.
Who was
at-
the game before? He looked good against the Vikings too.
Yeah, Allison actually looks good, so I'm okay starting either of those guys. The Cowboys are starting Elliott. The Packers defense, I don't know if exposed is the right word, but they don't look as threatening as they used to look.
They're third.
They played, yeah.
Never mind.
Prescott to me is a start. He had a bad week at New Orleans, but that's a tough place to play. That's not an easy place
I think
to
this is going to
play.
be a huge bounce back week for Ezekiel Elliott. They're 26 against the run. The Green Bay Packers are 26 against the run. And now, and they've played Dalvin Cook before, so they've really seen how someone can really change up their
Yeah.
entire defense. So, yeah, and I think it's going to be a tougher game for Dak Prescott and some of those receivers. Green Bay Packers third against the pass. Better defense, what they look like. And those defensive backs, I think, are all well talented enough to
Above average.
yeah, they're all above it. They're plenty good enough to take it down a guy like Dak Prescott, who looks great right now. He didn't look great last week, but he looks, just as a season, he looks pretty good. I think this is going to be the second game in a row where it's kind of like, all right, this is who Dak Prescott is against the good defenses. And so I would still start him. I think he's going to be a lower end, lower end QB1, higher end QB2. Because, there's just not a whole lot of options out there, and I'm not trying to start Andy Dalton against the, Arizona Cardinals. So, and then the receivers, if Michael Gallup plays, he'll be a flex option, and then I can't think of any.
Cooper.
Amari Cooper. Oh yeah, of course,
If
Amari
Cooper's
Cooper.
healthy, he's probably going to play. It's not like he's Devontae Adams questionable,
Yeah.
but Cooper, you've seen him. He didn't look great against the Saints. He didn't look like explosive. He got shut down by Marshawn Lattimore, who's a good corner. He's not great.
Right.
He's not a shutdown guy by any means. But Amari Cooper, I guess from all the Dallas reporters, he didn't look 100%. So I'm still starting him.
I would agree.
He's a top 20
and I think
receiver,
the Green Bay runs more zone than they do man-to-man, so I don't think they're going to have any one guy that just latched onto him the entire game. I think if he finds a way to get open and in between two defenders, he's going to get big, at least one big play this game. I think.
Who do you got in this game?
This is the toughest game to pick, so I'm going to let you pick.
I'm going to take the Cowboys at home. I like Aaron Rodgers more than I like Dak Prescott, but I think the Cowboys are. It's at home. You're over here stressing trying to pick, so I'll give you more time. I'll give you 30 more seconds. I'll talk for 30 more seconds. This is gonna be a great game.
Yeah.
Beyond the commentary, if you put it on mute and you're talking with your friends, then great.
If you listen to our podcast while you listen to the game, then
that might be too late then.
yeah. Well, our voices are
Yeah, it's not as bad as Joe Buck. Joe Buck might actually be doing postseason baseball. Fingers crossed. Shots fired.
Jeez. You think does he do
Yeah,
baseball?
he does. He does postseason baseball. So I'm praying, but he'll be like Cowboys Packers. I can't miss this. The nation's got to hear me. So
Yeah.
they only give me 16 weeks a year.
Jeez.
Okay, I don't hate Joe Buck. I just hate his voice.
You just slammed the guy saying, "Hope he does."
I don't hate
baseball.
the guy. I don't hate the guy. I hate his voice. Like his commentary.
Well,
right.
yeah,
he may be a good guy, genuine good guy, but I don't like the commentary.
I'm gonna take the Packers. Go ahead with your Cowboys pick.
Oh, I gave you enough time. Well, I just said I think the Cowboys. You said Elliott's. The Packers.
I was
struggle
thinking
against
the
the run.
yeah.
Elliott will dominate here. I like the Cowboys defense more than like the Packers defense, especially in Dallas. If this is one of those matchups where if it's in Lambeau Field, I'm taking Aaron Rodgers.
All right. Well, the last time this came down to the wire, it came down to Tony Romo throwing it up to Des Bryant, and the result of that. It was not a catch. It's also not going to be a catch in this game. I'm taking the Packers.
Well, Tony Romo is not going to be playing, so what do you mean?
Hey, you know what? Once a Cowboy, always.
All right, let's just make this simple. You're taking the Packers. I'm taking the Cowboys. I
Yeah.
feel like it's got a lot out of hand here. Well, you got to finish this.
We
off. What's next on the matchup here?
Colts at Chiefs Sunday Night Football. Bright lights for Brissett.
Brissett for me. He was 2 weeks
QB1.
ago. Hold on a second. 2 weeks ago for me, he was my streamer of the week, right? He was my streamer against Atlanta. He produced.
Yeah.
He streamed again. We didn't have a podcast, but he had another streamer.
Yeah, produced. Yeah, he produced
To
again last
me,
week.
I'm streaming him again against Kansas City.
Yeah, Kansas
especially if T.Y. Hilton. I hope T.Y. Hilton's healthy because he's the best playmaker on their offense. I like Marlon Mack here. You seen what the Lions did against Kansas City? Kansas City's not great against the run. Teams are going to do this blueprint. The Lions had 186-yard running.
Right.
You got to run the ball. Try to keep Kansas City off the field. You just got to keep your fingers crossed because Patrick Mahomes is going to kill you.
Yeah.
So I think this is a good game for Marlon Mack as long as it doesn't get out of hand. Like if it's 21-7 after first quarter, then you're worried, right?
Right.
Because he's not involved in the pass game, but I don't think it's going to blow out that soon in the game. T.Y. Hilton, if he's healthy, I'm playing him. Jack Doyle, Eric Ebron are
hit or
miss tight end options.
They did well last week, but I don't know if they continue that this week, right?
Yeah, you're not running to start those guys.
Yeah.
Is that what I'm saying?
Although
Ebron
dropped a few. I don't know if you saw, but he bricked a few, and he apologized on Twitter for it.
Other options there, Paris Campbell's a sneaky flex, but I'm not loving that option.
Yeah, too high on that.
Zach Pascal is a sneaky flex, but I'm not loving that either. I'm just
I
trying
gotta
to
see
find.
another week
I
of
just think
production
this
out
is
of
going to
them
be a
before.
lot of passing for the Colts because you got to keep up with Kansas City, right?
Yeah.
So
it's either one or the other. I think it's either going to be a lot of passing or a lot of running for the Indianapolis Colts. I see more passing. I think the Chiefs have a worse pass defense than they do run defense.
Well, they don't have a good run defense either.
Yeah, and I can look up the number, but I think Kansas City Chiefs 31st against the run. So so I think it's going to be I think it's going to be more running than it is passing. I changed my statement on that.
Yeah, Marlon Mack should be in for a good week.
I agree.
Should be is the key word. But
yeah, and so I don't think Nyheim Hines gets involved. I can't think of any other players that you might be thinking about when it comes to the Colts.
Yeah, we're not starting Funchess. He's
No.
not been great. So to me, it's Hilton when he's healthy. He's playing. Brissett's a streamer.
Playing, yeah.
Marlon Mack's an RB2
I think
with
Brissett,
RB1 upside with the rushing ability.
I think Brissett's got to remain a spot on your roster. I think.
Well,
he's
I'm not
enough.
dropping him. If you picked him up to stream,
well, you're still talking about streamers. If
I think
he's still
I think he's almost like a season-long streamer. Where
Yeah.
you're picking up midway through the year. If you had Big Ben,
Somewhere
if you
to
had Cam
Garoppolo,
Newton,
probably.
if you had any of these guys that got hurt, Brissett can be a guy who you plug and play 12 out of 14 weeks. So he's definitely roster. You want to hold him on your roster. The Chiefs, obviously Mahomes. I don't know if Damian Williams is going to play or not. You got to check on that. He hasn't played the last 2 weeks.
Darrell Williams did all right.
Darrell Williams looks like the goal line back on that team. LaShawn McCoy had the first goal line touchdown, but then they just kept pounding Darrell Williams. And as a LaShawn McCoy owner, I was just having a heart attack. I'm like, put McCoy in the game. Like, they just kept force feeding Williams for some reason. It's like, get McCoy some touches here. Like, come on. So I think Darrell Williams is a nice RB2 if Damian Williams doesn't play. LaShawn McCoy, RB2 if Damian Williams doesn't play. If Damian Williams plays, LaShawn McCoy's a flex then.
Yeah.
You bump him down a flex.
Or worse.
I don't think Tyreek Hill is playing this week.
No, I don't think so either.
Travis Kelce, tight end 1. Sammy Watkins is kind of disappointed after a hot start.
Yeah.
And so, to me, he's a flex option because he could boom.
Mecole Hardman.
Demarcus Robinson is a flex option. I think all the receivers are flex. Meaning, I don't want to start them all on my team, but you could hit the guy that has.
Mecole Hardman laid a goose egg. If you started him this past week against the Lions, I think you got
So even though it's the Kansas City offense and they're great, I think all the receivers are at best flex options right now.
Agreed. And Colts nothing special on defense, either way.
And their star linebacker Leonard, who's one of the 5 best linebackers, was out last week. I don't know if he's going to play against Kansas City.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. So
I'm taking the Chiefs here. I'm not trying to get cute with the Colts.
I'm going to take the Colts.
I think the Colts are respectable, but the Chiefs, they're better.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Chiefs.
They're better
as well.
at quarterback. They have a better offense.
And and I just want to make it known that when they reviewed that touchdown, that Kenny Galladay touchdown. The second time they reviewed it, Commissioner Goodell called Walt Anderson himself and said, "The Chiefs cannot lose to the Lions. Do whatever you got to do to make that happen." So they called it no touchdown, and they didn't blow the whistle.
Is that why the replay took longer?
Yeah.
Roger Goodell had poor service when he was flying.
No, he said, "Oh, they're going to rule it." Well,
no, he had poor service. He was in the airplane, so they had to get into a spot where they had a pocket of service.
Yeah. And then that's why they didn't blow the whistle when it came to the fumble.
Let's get the last game, Monday Night Football, Browns, 49ers. I'm okay starting Mayfield here. He looked good last week. I think he's obviously a confident player. Beckham is a wide receiver 1 to me. The guy I'm really impressed with is Landry. He had a big game last week. He looks like Beckham's. He looks like Baker Mayfield's, I hate to say it, but he's his go-to guy almost. Like, 3rd down and 5, go to Landry. He's not covered as much as Beckham. They got to respect Nick Chubb on the running game. So Landry to me is a very good flex option, like probably the best flex option for this week.
Yeah.
Chubb is an RB1. Beckham's the wide receiver 1. And Njoku's still on IR, so I'm not interested in their tight ends.
Right. Seals Jones did well, and I think he might be a good streamer if you're looking for someone.
Yeah.
But I think you're better off looking at the Cowboys tight ends.
If you have Jared Cook on your roster, Seals Jones.
Yeah, Seals Jones might be better. I'm getting rid of Jared Cook. That
was a low key shot.
Yeah, before the end of the week.
49ers Garoppolo. You could play him. He's and
they're coming off a bye.
He's a low end quarterback 1, high end 2. He's in that 11 to 15 range where I'm like, I'm not totally confident, but I'm okay playing him. Like, I don't think he's gonna have a terrible day. Running backs, I tend to. It's hard. It's kind of like the Kansas City passing game, right? Are you going to pick the right running back there? Jeff Wilson is like the touchdown vulture there in that backfield.
Right, but
Matt
I don't know if
Burrito
he's
looks like the best running back there, and then Mostert is the receiving back. It's difficult to pick who's going to get it. I would say Burrito's a flex option because I just like the talent. Mostert and Wilson, I
wouldn't pick up anyone off the waiver wire because it looks like, from what I hear, that Tevin Coleman's coming back week 6, and that he's going to resume a large amount of the snaps that those running backs get once he comes back. So if you're looking to pick someone up, I would kind of reserve, I wouldn't drop like Ronald Jones or someone for Jeff Wilson or someone, right? I think there's going to be more running than there is passing. I mean, I know the 49ers haven't played anyone, but they're top 6 in both passing and rushing defense. So I think this is going to be their first real test as to what they can do against a good team. And then the Browns, pretty good pass defense. They're 8th against the pass, and then they're middle tier against the run. So I think you're going to see a lot of running, a lot of short passes from Garoppolo and co. But I wonder, I think this is going to be a game where it kind of wakes up the 49ers, just like, hey, now you're playing a real NFL team. This is what, real NFL
Hey, no
teams
shot to teams they played before, right? Like Tampa Bay, you're not a real team. You just went into Los Angeles and beat them 55.
Well, they weren't a real. Now they're a real team. They weren't a real team in the start, and then they played the Bengals. The Bengals should not.
Kittle's obviously a tight end one. He's
For
not
sure,
lived up to the hype that he had last year because he's not getting touchdowns, and he's just not playing the way he used to play. But he's still talented enough to play.
He's still getting targets, yeah.
Wide receivers, to me, they're nothing but flex options for me.
Agreed.
I'm not Samuel, Pettis, any of those guys. I'm not as confident. They're kind of like, you hope you get
Spread
it right.
the ball around. Yeah. I agree.
I'm taking the Browns in this game.
I'm taking the Browns as well. Is it an upset? You would call the Browns beating the 49ers an upset?
Yeah, I think.
Well, I mean, I know the 49ers have a, quote, better record, but I think the Browns are going to get the
home
spread.
teams normally get a field goal automatically, like a 3 points automatically, and I think it's a 3.5 point spread. Don't quote me on this, but I think either way, I think the Browns go in there and they surprise some people and they win this game on the road. Tough matchup going to the West Coast. Obviously, the Browns are volatile. They got a lot of emotions. They got Mayfield, they got Beckham, they got a lot of baggage, but I think they go in there and they win this one.
All right, so to recap some of the games, the only games that we have differences between are the Falcons at the Texans. I'm going to take in the Falcons. Nick's going to stick with the Texans. I have the Buccaneers beating the Saints. Nick has the Saints winning. And then the last game we have the difference between is the Packers and Cowboys. Only 3 games this week we have differences between. I have the Packers winning. Nick has the Cowboys winning. Really tough to call that one. And the teams on bye this week, I just want to touch up on this. The Lions are not going to play this week, so a lot of Kerryon Johnson and Kenny Galladay owners might have to look elsewhere for waiver wire options, or maybe make a quick trade where you don't have to sacrifice much to get someone you can put at flex for the week.
The Dolphins are on bye.
The Dolphins are on bye. If you have any Dolphins on your roster, I apologize in advance.
Because then you can't stream defenses against them.
Yeah, good one. All right. Those are the teams on bye. And that's going to do it for us on the podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening. As always, we have our website.
Check out the website.
Check out the website. I'm posting stuff there every week. I imagine Nick is too. I don't read his stuff because I read my own stuff.
You should be reading my stuff. You'd be 4-0.
Yeah, really. Thanks, guys, for listening. We appreciate all your support. And tune in back next week. We should have another podcast next week unless someone decides to bail on us one more time. I'm just kidding. We're done taking shots. Good night, everybody.